The history of art is filled with works that went beyond expectations and reached unexpected places. Some pieces went so far that they caused controversies, crossed cultural boundaries, or tested the limits of what we call art. With their extravagant prices, many spark discussions about the assigned value and how they are sold to art enthusiasts. Imagine not being able to see or touch a work of art, yet being able to buy it? Well, that is exactly what an Italian artist set out to do. And believe it or not, he was asking for about 18,000 United States dollars. Recently, some digital artists began earning a good sum of money by selling NFT artworks, an acronym for non-fungible token, which serves as proof of authenticity for a digital file. But the sculptor Salvatore Garau took a step further by creating a sculpture that does not exist in physical form and instead is made of air and spirit. The sculpture, called Lo Sono, or in English I Am, was sold to a private buyer. Yet the artwork only exists in his imagination and in the artist's. Garau, age 67, is originally from the island of Sardinia and is well known in Italy for his abstract work, having exhibited his art in several museums across Europe and at the prestigious Venice Biennale. Even though it does not exist in a physical form, Garau insists that his sculpture is as real as any object we can see and touch. Tim Steiner is a Swiss performance artist known for having sold his back to the German art collector Rick Reinking. This curious transaction was part of an artwork created by the Belgian artist Wim Delvoye in 2006. The piece, called Tim, consists of a tattoo that covers Steiner's back, featuring religious imagery, skulls, and other aesthetic elements. The agreement made between Steiner and Reinking turned his body into a living work of art. It was also agreed that the tattoo would be removed from his skin and displayed in a museum after his death. Until then, Steiner participates in exhibitions and live performances in galleries and museums worldwide, where he often sits, sometimes in silence, displaying his tattooed back to the public. For this piece, Steiner received a significant sum of money and, in return, agreed to present himself as a living art piece several times a year. I Can't Help Myself is a work of art created by the Chinese artists Sun Yuan and Peng Yu, first exhibited at the Venice Biennale in 2019. The piece consists of a robotic arm programmed to clean up a viscous red substance, resembling blood, that spreads across the floor around it. The robot is confined within a glass enclosure, and its movement is repetitive. It constantly tries to clean the liquid, which always seems to flow beyond its reach. The idea behind the work is to provoke reflection on the constant struggle the robot faces. The title, I Can't Help Myself, suggests a sense of frustration and helplessness in the face of an endless cycle, evoking a metaphor for the human condition, such as the incessant search for control and the repetition of patterns. At the same time, the machine is an allegory for automation and unceasing labor, designed to perform a task that, in the end, it can never fully accomplish. Over time, the robot wears down, and its movement becomes more erratic and tired, intensifying the sense of suffering and loss of control. The work elicits a strong emotional response from viewers because even though it is a machine, the way it moves and struggles creates empathy and even a feeling of anguish in those who watch. A controversial artwork titled Comedian from 2019 is expected to sell for more than $1,700,000 United States dollars at auction, despite being just a banana duct taped to a white panel. The piece quickly went viral as a symbol of the absurdity of the contemporary art market. The work by the 64-year-old Italian artist Maurizio Cattelan has divided art fans and critics since its debut at the Art Basel Miami Beach show in 2019 and has since been eaten twice, once as part of a performance art piece called Hungry Artist by the artist David Datuna, and later by a hungry South Korean college student who taped the peel back onto the wall. He waved at the security camera filming him, smiled, and left the scene satisfied after eating the priciest snack of his life. It is expected that the third and final version will be sold for between $1,100,000 United States dollars and $1,700,000 United States dollars when it goes up for auction in New York. Before the auction, the work will go on a worldwide tour starting with a one-off exhibition in New York on the 28th of October, then moving on to London, Paris, Milan, Hong Kong, Dubai, Taipei, Tokyo, and Los Angeles. A group of visitors at the Guggenheim Museum in New York decided to push the limits of art by placing one of their shoes, a light brown Converse sneaker, alone on the museum floor as if it were some kind of artistic installation. In the footage, one of the group's young men appears showing his sock, then focuses the camera on the missing partner, which piqued the curiosity of onlookers visiting the museum that day. Some even took photos of the shoe with their phones. The video that was published does not show the pranksters, nor when it happened. The material was later reused by many internet users on Instagram, credited to another profile called Real.Posts, which replicates viral content on the social network. In the comments, people compared this stunt to Fountain by the French painter, sculptor, and poet Marcel Duchamp. That piece is nothing more than a porcelain urinal displayed at the 1917 exhibition of the Society of Independent Artists, also in New York. The work is considered the main reference of the ready-made movement, which transforms everyday objects into art without the artistic intervention of a painter or sculptor. Cecilia Giménez is an amateur Spanish artist who became world-famous in 2012 after attempting to restore a fresco of Jesus Christ in a church in the small town of Borja in Spain. The painting, called Exe Homo, Behold the Man, was originally created by the artist Elias Garcia Martinez in the early 20th century. Over time, the work had deteriorated, and Giménez, who was over 80 years old at the time, decided to restore it on her own, intending to preserve it. The result, however, turned out very differently from what was expected. Jesus' face became unrecognizable, with rough, distorted features. The final appearance of the work resembled more a monkey or a stuffed doll than the sacred figure of Jesus Christ. The attempt at restoration garnered wide media attention and was soon nicknamed Eximono, Behold the Monkey, in a tone of humor and criticism, while Cecilia Giménez was labeled the worst restorer in the world. Despite the outcome, the incident gained huge popularity, turning the small town of Borja into a tourist destination, with thousands of visitors coming to see the famous accidental artwork. Cecilia Giménez initially faced criticism and even threats of lawsuits. But over time, the town recognized the tourist value the restoration had brought. The unexpected popularity generated a wave of products featuring the image of the restoration and even inspired parodies and memes worldwide. Piero Manzoni was an avant-garde Italian artist famous for his provocative works and critiques of the art market and the commercialization of the artist. One of his most controversial pieces is called Merda d'Artista, in English, Artist's Shit, created in 1961. This artwork consisted of 90 small cans, each supposedly containing 30 grams of the artist's own feces. Each can was numbered and labeled with the inscription Merda d'Artista in several languages, reinforcing its ironic tone. Manzoni created these cans as an explicit critique of the art market and the way the value of a work is often attributed simply by the artist's name rather than the content or skill involved. He suggested that by buying an artwork solely for its label or the artist's prestige, collectors were, in essence, buying shit. Boldly, Manzoni sold each can for the price of its weight in gold, which was quite expensive, satirizing the monetary value associated with an artist's status. Over the years, Merda d'Artista became a legendary and ironic commentary on the value of art and the relationship between the artist and the market. Today, some of these cans have sold at auctions for absurd amounts, often in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, further highlighting the message that the artist wanted to convey, which remains relevant even today. Found stuck to the back of a frame, a small sketch that looks more like a scribble by the last direct descendant of Michelangelo was put on display, attracted attention, and was sold at auction. According to some information, the tiny scribble was initially set to be sold for somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 United States dollars, but the organizers of the New York auction said the piece sold for an incredible $200,000 United States dollars, about 33 6/10 times the initial estimate. The small piece depicts a block of marble with the word simile or similar in English. It is believed to have been drawn while Michelangelo was working on the famous Sistine Chapel ceiling. The drawing is accompanied by a letter written by Cosimo Buonarroti in 1836, in which he offers the piece by his illustrious ancestor Michelangelo to Sir John Bowring, the future governor of Hong Kong, whose signature appears at the end of the page. Although it was not signed by Michelangelo, experts say their research confirmed that the great Italian artist was indeed responsible for the little drawing. Several visitors to the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art in the state of California in the United States mistook a pair of glasses on the floor for a work of art. The prank was carried out by a 17-year-old. TJ Kayetan decided to place the glasses on the floor because of some curious works that were on display at the museum, such as a stuffed animal wrapped in a blanket, something similar to what we saw earlier with the shoe that was also the target of a prank. The teenager said that he and his friends wondered if the stuffed animal wrapped in a blanket really impressed anyone. To test this theory, Kayetan put the glasses on the floor and stepped away. A short time later, other visitors approached and even knelt down to photograph the art. The moment was recorded, and when it was revealed on social media that it was a prank, it quickly went viral, raising many questions and discussions about the fact that any object or situation can be considered art by some people simply because of the place or context in which it is found. The artwork Fountain by Marcel Duchamp is one of the most iconic and controversial pieces in the history of modern art. Created in 1917, the piece consists of an ordinary porcelain urinal signed with the pseudonym R. Mutt and dated that same year. By presenting an everyday object as art, Duchamp revolutionized the notion of traditional art and challenged the conventional concepts of what defines a work of art. Duchamp submitted Fountain to an exhibition of the Society of Independent Artists in New York, an exhibition open to anyone who paid the entry fee. However, even with this policy of inclusion, the piece was rejected, causing a major controversy. Duchamp argued that the act of choosing the object and placing it in a new context was enough to transform it into art, giving rise to the concept of the ready-made. According to him, by removing an object from its functional environment and presenting it in an artistic context, the artist redefines the very object. Fountain became a landmark for challenging the boundaries between art and non-art, proposing that artistic value could lie in the idea and the artist's intention, not just in manual skill or aesthetic beauty. Although the original piece was lost, Duchamp authorized the creation of several replicas of Fountain in the following decades. Today, Fountain is seen as a symbol of artistic freedom. The National Poo Museum, officially known as the National Poo Museum, is a curious and entertaining institution located in Sandown, on the Isle of Wight, in the United Kingdom. This museum is dedicated to exploring the role of poop in nature and in our culture, addressing scientific and environmental themes in an educational and humorous way. Founded in 2016 by a group of artists and scientists, the museum aims to demystify poop and show its importance in ecology, health, and even human culture. The National Poo Museum's collection includes an impressive variety of samples of feces, preserved in transparent spheres that allow for detailed observation. The collection includes poop from different animals, from elephants to hedgehogs, and even human feces. Each piece is accompanied by curious information about the animal it came from, what its diet reveals about the environment, and how poop can be helpful to scientists in understanding ecosystems. In addition to its exhibits, the museum addresses sustainability and waste recycling. It highlights how poop can be a valuable source of soil nutrients and even a form of renewable energy. The museum is popular among families and schools, attracting visitors of all ages who want to learn about an unusual subject in an interactive and fun way. Mark Rothko's untitled artwork, often referred to as Blue and Yellow, is an iconic example of his abstract painting style characterized by large blocks of color arranged in rectangular layers. In this particular painting, Rothko primarily uses blue and yellow, colors that contrast and interact in a way that evokes a sense of depth and emotion, without any need for figurative representation. Rothko was part of the abstract expressionist movement and believed that colors and composition could convey deep, universal emotions. Instead of depicting scenes or figures, he used large areas of color in subtle arrangements to elicit an emotional response in the viewer. Blue, in particular, tends to evoke feelings of calm, contemplation, or sorrow, while yellow can bring a sense of energy or joy. In a famous New York auction, the piece sold for nearly $45 million United States dollars. He was known for his meticulous and slow process of layering, which resulted in vibrant and intense surfaces. For Rothko, his paintings were emotional portals, and he encouraged the public to view his works up close, letting the colors and scale create a personal experience, meaning that, for each person, the work would hold a different significance. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.